I've considered myself in overtime ever since I thought the game was over for me when I had my last rites read to me in 2010. This is a picture of me as a healthy third-year medical student training to become an oncologist in memory of my mom. This is a picture of me just a few weeks later when I was dying with multiple organ failure in the intensive care unit. My body was ravaged by a mysterious disease, and I spent 4.5 months hospitalized. I even had to say goodbye to my family and friends. I was eventually diagnosed with idiopathic multicentric Castleman disease. Castleman disease is as common as ALS, affects individuals of all ages, and my subtype kills 50% of patients within 5 years of diagnosis. In idiopathic MCD, the immune system becomes hyperactivated, attacks and then shuts down the body's vital organs. Here you can see how big my belly was due to my liver and kidney failure. Soon thereafter, I finally got treatment with combination chemotherapy and started to get into remission. On New Year's Eve of 2010, my dad and I decided to take a walk around the hematology oncology unit. As we passed by the family waiting area, we noticed there was a gentleman that looked like he'd been drinking on New Year's Eve. On our next lap, we noticed he had fallen onto the floor. So my dad ran over to him and helped him back into his chair. And he looked at us and he said, "Thanks so much. Good luck to you and your wife." We were confused at first, and then I looked down at my belly and I realized he thought I was my dad's pregnant wife, which was a low point emotionally for both of us. But you can kind of see how someone might have actually thought that I was a pregnant woman from this picture. This picture is from a few years before from my football playing days, and I feel like if we flip the order of this could be a really good before and after picture for shake weight or muscle milk. I was able to return to medical school, but soon after returning to med school, I had another relapse on the only drug in development for my disease. I nearly died again. This time I realized I could no longer hope for someone else to figure this disease out. So I promised my family I would dedicate the rest of my life, however long that may be, to trying to cure this disease. I started the Castleman Disease Collaborative Network, and I spearheaded a new approach to research. Rather than raising money and hoping that the right researcher would apply to do the right study, I built a network of over 400 physicians and researchers and 1,000 patients to identify the right research to be done, and then recruited the top experts to do that research. We've made incredible progress through the CDCN, including launching 17 studies, completely flipping the way that Castleman disease was believed to work on its head, and more recently identifying a new treatment approach. But in the midst of all of this progress, I had another relapse, and I nearly died for the 5th time in 3 years. Chemotherapy barely saved my life again, and this is a picture of my wife and I at our engagement party. I knew that if I wanted to make it to our wedding day, I would need to identify a new treatment for myself. I had just joined the faculty at UPenn, and I dove into the data. Quickly, I found a pattern. A molecule called VEGF began to rise at the same time that a marker of T-cell activation began to rise leading up to my last flare. A series of experiments confirmed my hunch. T-cell activation and VEGF were a key part of my disease. So I wondered, should we target T cells or VEGF with a treatment? Drugs existed, but they had really severe side effects, and I didn't know which one to try. So I wondered, was there a communication line or a signaling pathway that could connect T cell activation and VEGF expression? And I remember back to first year of medical school, there was. The mTOR pathway was crucial for both. So I ran an experiment on my lymph node. This is a healthy, normal lymph node with brown representing the mTOR active cells. And then this is my lymph node, highlighting just how active the mTOR pathway was in me. The communication line was on. So could targeting this communication line stop my deadly and relentless disease? A drug existed, but it had never been used before in Castleman disease, and it was approved for kidney transplantation. I decided to try the drug on myself, and I've just crossed 46 months in remission, more than 5 times longer than my previous remission. But much more importantly, we've tried this drug in other patients, and it's saving their lives as well. We're now getting ready to launch a clinical trial and hope to demonstrate that this drug can work for many more patients. None of this progress would have been able to be made without the incredible and important collaborative work that the CDCN led. I want to close with just a few thoughts. First, we're all in overtime. We need to make every second count. Second, For the gentlemen in the room, I hope you're never confused as a pregnant woman, but if you are, I hope you'll find some humor in that and all the other challenges in life. Third, question the status quo. If I hadn't done so, I wouldn't be here today. 95% of the 7,000 rare diseases don't have a single FDA-approved therapy. How many other drugs like sirolimus already exist that could save patients' lives tomorrow? Fourth, reflect on those things you hope for and you pray for and use them to guide your actions. And finally, find your Castleman disease. Find that thing that motivates you, excites you, and run after it. And if you haven't found that yet, we need you, and I hope you'll join me in my fight against Castleman disease. Thank you so much.